So let's check in on the state of affairs in Kogi State, and we have joining us from our Abuja studio, the Deputy Governor of Kogi State, Mr. Simon Achuba. He joins us live. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's get an update. This issue has been on for a while now. So tell us, what is the current state of affairs, especially between you and the Governor of Kogi State?
Good morning, and thank you for having me here. Well, the state of affairs is not very smooth. It is rough because of the disposition of the governor of Kogi State.
When you say the disposition of the governor of Kogi State, what exactly are you talking about here?
What I'm saying is that everyone elected to the office of governor, deputy governor, or for whatever position you are elected into, you are expected to deliver on promises, or you are expected to look at the well-being of the people and effect changes. These changes are not forthcoming in Kogi State. And as a deputy governor and as one who has been part of successive government, I have tried my best internally to ensure that the right things are done. And for that sake, I am hated, I am denied my rights, and as a result, it was me off the earth. And that was why, in my last press interview, I cried out to the world and to the law enforcement agents, calling on them to focus on Kogi State in view of the level of violence being, perpetrated by the sitting governor of Kogi State.
Now, you have also listed a number of things against the governor, who, by the way, will have his representatives join us tomorrow on this discussion, on this station, on this program, to have the same conversation. You have listed some of the issues as the fact that he is fighting perceived enemies, he has refused to pay civil servants their salaries, and he also started infrastructural programs, projects that he has refused to finish. You are a part of the government. At what point did communication break down between the two of you?
Yes. Hello? Yes, the communication broke down at a point when it became very glaring that it was not towing the path of good governance. One, when you assess the government of Bello, from day one, it has been fighting. Anyone that has a different opinion from his becomes an enemy. Anyone that says anything that is not praise to him, he goes ahead to attack the person. And of course, in governance, you must give room for criticism, whether good or bad. And as a leader, you learn from criticism. Those who criticize you necessarily may not be your enemy. There could be individuals who want you to do well. But in his case, it is not so. And of course, you can see from the NLC, from the ASU, from the State Assembly, to the judiciary, and to myself, and others, it has been battles and fight. That is not good governance. And that is what I said is not right. There are ways you go about these things. You don't necessarily need to fight. You dialogue, you persuade people, you explain your point of view to others, and convince them to be part of your train so that you can have a harmonious government. That is not done. Then on the second issue is that of paying workers their salaries. Now, if you are elected as a governor, paying salary to workers is not an achievement, as I said earlier. It is the duty and responsibility of anyone who is in position to do so. And as it is in Kogi State, that it has become an achievement. It got to a point that it was believed by the governor that civil servants are nobody. They are of no effect. And I said, if they are not useful to us, let's take them away and see how we can function. And so salaries of civil servants are kept away. And for your information, I have details from for 38 months, that is till February this year. The total sum of money that has come to the coffers of Kogi State, that is statutory allocation, excess crude oil, and VAT, is 132 billion. The estimated revenue, total revenue to the state, internally generated revenue, is 51 billion. And money that came to local governments, the total is 111 billion. When you put all this together, that is 294 billion. Now, from what the government we have put forward as the wage bill that we met, which is both state and local government, you have 5.8 billion as salary. Now, this 5.8 billion as salary, if you multiply it by the 38 months, what do you have? You still have 220 billion as salary, and you have 74 billion as money left. So in this 74 billion, that is if there is no screening at all. But with screening, they said they have saved 1.4, and the total emolument for both state and local government has fallen to 4.4. So if you multiply that by 38 months, that is as of February this year, that is 167 billion. So if you take this 167 billion from 294, you still have 127 billion. What I have said does not in any way include parish club refunds. It does not include the bailout. With statutory allocation, it was convenient for the government to pay half the overhead to itself and do projects.
All right, so let's take a look at Mr. Achuba, for a moment. You are in the Federal Capital Territory, the nation's capital, and there are reports that you're planning to meet with the president. That is, if you have not met with him. So the question is, in terms of resolution, has that happened? Have you met with the president? And if you have, what came out of that meeting?
Yes, as a party man, when this problem started building up, I wrote to the national party chairman. I wrote to the president. I wrote to the vice president. I wrote to the secretary, the secretary to the federation. That was 6th of August last year. And I followed it up with so many visits. Nothing was done. I also reported to some governors what was going on, seeking an intervention in the process. But even before this time, in Kogi State, some pastors came in, my own traditional ruler came in, yet there is no solution. The last visit I had, then after the letter of August, in March 28th this year, I wrote another letter to all the persons I've mentioned again, asking them to intervene in the matter, but nothing happened. The last visit I had to the presidency, and I met with the chief of staff, was my 10th visit to the chief of staff. But I met him the first one and this last one. That subsequent ones, he was not in the office, and sometimes when I go, I drop note. And up to this moment, nothing has come up.
Honorable Achuba, the office of the governor of your state, who you repeatedly said is your boss, has denied the allegation of assassination that you leveled against it. And the governor is quoted to have said that you should bring out evidence of claims that the governor is after your life. How do you react?
Thank you very much. You recall that prior the last election, the eve of the election, my security men were withdrawn by him. He called them to government house, and for what reason? Why would he want me to go home without my security men? That is one. Two is the fact that before now, you will recall that there was importation of army uniform, police uniform, and military software, so to say, which was linked to him. What was he doing with that? And on the eve of that election, I saw people who are not policemen, who were in police uniform, carrying dagger and all manner of weapons. What is he doing with that? I called the commissioner of police and I drew his attention to it that I have by my gate by my gate here, men wearing police uniform and carrying cutlasses. And this is known to everyone from Kogi State. And if he is denying that of the importation of those military software, let investigation be carried into it. Let us look at the certificate that he claimed he had to bring them in, and let a forensic study of that certificate be carried out, whether at all he had that certificate before he imported them, or he got the certificate at the point of the trouble. You know, you can do a forensic study and know when a paper is issued. I can bet on that.
Honorable Achuba, very quickly, because we are running out of time now, you have repeatedly said that you would love for a peaceful resolution between you and the governor of your state. What do you expect to happen going forward so that there can be peace for the people of the state?
From the role I have played in bringing in some people to intervene, writing letter in August this year, talking to some governors, it means I want peace to be. But he has with him his chief of staff who wants an immunity, who wants to take over my office and become deputy governor. And that is just the battle. Nothing else. And of course, everybody in Kogi State knows that the chief of staff wields more power, even more than the governor himself, because he has his convoy so long, even with military men.
And then, Honorable Simon Achuba, Deputy Governor of Kogi State, thank you so much for the time that you spent with us this morning. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.